So I don't think it's any secret. Houston is a massive city. In fact, we have a little saying out here that Houston is an hour away from Houston because it's that big. And it's true. It literally takes that long to get from one side to the other. So if you're looking to move here, it can be quite overwhelming when you think about it. I mean, the west side is going to be drastically different than the east side or the north side. And so today, what I'm going to talk to you about is why the north side is the best. Now, I'm a little biased. I'm from the north side of Houston, born and raised out in the Spring area, but I know a lot about Houston. I've seen all the different aspects. And so I'm going to go over my top 6 reasons today on why North Houston is the best. All right, number 1, Houston on the north side is going to be the prettiest area, hands down. The reason for that is we are just south of the National Forest. If you're looking at a map and you look north of Houston, north of Conroe, north of Willis, out in that area, there's going to be a very dense forest. It's a national forest. And so if you're into the outdoorsy lifestyle, if you like to hike, if you like nature and you just want to look at it, even if you like the scenery, North Houston's going to be the place to be, because as you go around different sides of Houston, we've got the coastal plains kind of on the southern side of Houston. Things can be really flat on the west side of Houston out in Katy. In fact, there's very little trees out that way. And, you know, as you go to different parts of Houston, you're going to get different terrain. And so North Houston's going to be where all of the pine trees are at, lots of oaks, just lots of green, lush, vibrant scenery out here. And so for that reason alone, it's going to be one of the prettiest areas out in this greater Houston area. Number 2 is going to be great school opportunities. So some of the best school districts in Houston are going to be in the outskirts of Houston. So if you think about the suburbs around it, and so I'm not saying that they are the best, but some of your best options are going to be on the North Houston side. You've got Klein back where I grew up in the Spring area, highly rated, but also looking into Conroe, Tomball, Magnolia, Montgomery. All of these areas, especially if you want to focus on the Woodlands, for example, have some of the best schools out there. So a lot of my clients moving into Houston are focusing on that aspect alone when it comes to education and that level of importance to their families. North Houston's going to offer some great options. Number 3 is going to be the location. So obviously, the further away you get from the ocean, the more you mitigate the risk of, all the potential downfalls and dangers of being close to the ocean with those hurricanes. So Houston is still a city off of the coast. There's nothing you can do about that. But living out here on those northern areas, you're kind of on those evacuation paths of where people are fleeing a hurricane should it be headed right for Houston. So on the rare occasion that those happen, and they do, you really want to be as far away from the ocean as possible. So there's a lot of different cool aspects about that as well. Lower insurance premiums, for one. I mean, I know that the home insurance rates out here, even your car, your auto insurance can be significantly cheaper than if you have a home or a dwelling or a zip code that you live in that's closer to the ocean. And obviously for that reason, you're further out. Also, things like wind riders and things like that on your policy, flood insurance, all of those things, not only a lot of times are not required if you're not in a floodplain, but are gonna be significantly cheaper options if you're up here in the North Houston area. I know that there are certain counties, there are certain zip codes, no matter you're in a floodplain or not, that are going to require those wind riders on your home insurance. They're going to require flood insurance policies, whether you're in a floodplain or not, whether your home has history of flooding or not. And again, when you're just that close to the ocean, those policies are going to be much higher. So you're going to save a significant amount of money living up here and have a little bit more peace of mind. I mean, I know I do, because by the time the way these category hurricanes work is once they make landfall and they actually hit the coast, what they're going to do is downgrade quite a bit as they go, into the city. And so when you're kind of close to the ocean like that, obviously you're going to take on the brunt of the storm. And then as it moves up, it's going to downgrade from, maybe a Cat 3 to a Category 1. By the time it hits us in North Houston, it's usually a tropical depression. So we're more worried about rain, less worried about winds. With that said, on rare occasions, in my lifetime, I could think of one storm that did go all the way up into North Houston where we did have some significant winds. However, again, it was more power outages, things of that nature that we were concerned about. We don't really see roofs blowing off, things of that nature usually out here in the area. Reason number 4 is going to be new construction opportunities. A lot of these opportunities are going to be on the outskirts of Houston and the suburbs around it. Obviously, we're not running out of land, but if you're looking at inner city and all of those neighborhoods and communities, they were developed years ago, and so there's not a lot of room. In fact, if you see any new construction in downtown Houston, it's typically one of those high-rise, 3-story townhome style houses, and they do that because they literally need less than 2,000 square feet to build a home like that. So you have tons of new construction opportunities out here in Conroe, out in Tomball, Cypress, the list goes on and on. New Caney's starting to add a bunch now. And it's because we have the land, simply put. I mean, that's kind of what we're doing, is building out, right? And a lot of the game changers have been the toll 99. So we have a new tollway 99 that kind of wraps around the top side of Houston down to the southern side. And that's just a lot of development is happening right off of that tollway. Not only is it allowing us the opportunity to get from one place to another much faster now. So if I wanted to get to Katy from the North Houston area, years back before this tollway, it would take me well over an hour. Now I can hop on this tollway and get there in probably about 45 minutes. And so again, it's still a lot of distance I need to cover, but it's sheer distance on what's the reasoning why it's taking me so long to get from one place to the other, not having to go through basically the grid system of traffic. And so the 99 tollway is basically, long story short, creating a lot of new construction opportunities because people are moving up north, and we now have roadways and highways that can get us to other sides of the city, if you're commuting, for example, a lot faster than you could before. So with that said, new construction's bringing in tons of opportunities. You have everything from homes, tiny homes for 130,000 all the way up into the millions if you want lakefront property off of the lake, or you want to build that ranch style home on acreage. You're gonna have to go out into the outskirts of Houston. And North Houston not only has tons of opportunities and tons of different selections and communities and builders, master plan communities. I could think of 5 off the top of my head just in the Conroe area alone. And so it gives you tons of choices. So with all of these different choices as well comes competition, right? And with competition comes better pricing. So as I said before, you've got a lot of different options in the way of your price points, but a lot of these communities are close to one another and they're competing for your business. And so I'm seeing some really good incentives out there right now for, builders trying to move their product, things like low interest rates that they'll just hand to you for free, or they'll give you a bunch of closing costs to help you buy your rate down with whatever lender you want to use. So with that said, all of these different options bring competitive situations. Competitive situations bring affordability and better deals for you. Reason number 5 is going to be, simply put, the Woodlands. So people, if they're not going to live in the Woodlands, they want to be close to it. I live in Conroe personally, and one of the reasons why is because we want to be in close proximity to the Woodlands. The Woodlands is its own beast in and of itself. So it's a master plan community that was developed in the 70s and 80s, 90s, and it is gorgeous and truly lives up to its name. It's now turned into a township. I think it has over 120,000 residents, and it has really nice amenities, but its beauty, its really good schools, just its uniqueness in where it's located and all of the things that you can get out of the Woodlands that you can't get anywhere else are what this magnet that pull people in. And if you can't get in because of affordability, or maybe you want new construction, obviously the Woodlands is just not available because it was already developed years and years ago, but people are trying to live in close proximity to it. So there's a lot of new construction opportunities around it, and there's a lot of areas and towns all around the Woodlands that are ideal to live, that keep you in close proximity. Places like Conroe and Spring are just north and south of it. Then you have, Tomball, just kind of west of it or lateral to it. You even have Magnolia in the back of it, and Montgomery. So all of these areas are really attracting people because they want to be close to the Woodlands. Now, going into the Woodlands, if you don't know much about it, I have another video on that you can check out. But the main gist of it is heavily wooded, and the way that they developed it, they just threw so many amenities in that neighborhood that it's really, like I said, it's turned into this township. And so you have the Woodlands Mall, which is a flagship mall out here in the Houston area. In fact, it's talked about and probably more revered, if that's the word I should use, than the Galleria. The Galleria is actually the largest mall in Texas. However, people talk and notably want to go to the Woodlands more because it just offers more. It has that high-end shopping that the Galleria has. It has a good location, being very central to Houston and located right off 45. And so it's really easy for people to get to, and it kind of offers everything people are looking for in the way of beauty, amenities, shopping, convenience, all the things. To top it all off, The Woodlands has Market Street, which is kind of a later addition in the last few years, where it's all this outdoor shopping and entertainment, and it just creates this amazing ambiance when you're out there. You just feel really good, and it's a lot of fun, and they kind of keep you in that atmosphere at that venue because you don't want to leave. You've got Market Street, you've got Cynthia Woods Mitchell Pavilion. If you're into live music, it's one of the largest amphitheaters in the country, and they have some of the biggest bands headlining out there. Also seasonal stuff like orchestras and Christmas music, things of that nature. Huge lawn seating, and that's right by the mall. And then they have the waterway, and again, it's just absolutely gorgeous and stunning. And it does live true to its name because it is absolutely covered in woods. And so most people love that, especially as a visitor, because it's so pretty. The only con I would say about it is you can get lost in the city or in the township because everything looks the same and everything's covered literally in a 20 to 50 foot reserve of trees. So you don't see any ugly signs or commercial developments. It's all very tucked away and hidden, but it's absolutely gorgeous and people want to be close to the Woodlands. Hey, so if this content is valuable to you, please feel free to like this video and subscribe, hit that notification bell so that you get updates for when I'm posting more. What I'm going to be doing is posting probably weekly videos on the North Houston area. And I'm a realtor here. I actually was born and raised in Spring. And not only do I help local residents move from one side of Houston to the other, but I also specialize in relocating people from all over the country and world to Houston. So if you're serious about moving to Houston, you want to check this link out down below. You can click that. There's a survey you can fill out real quickly. Obviously, you can email me, you can text or call me with the number below, but I'd love to schedule a consultation with you, figure out what the right area is if you're serious about moving to Houston. So number 6 is going to be really just the accessibility of North Houston and all the major freeways and what that brings for you. A lot of people think that living in the outskirts of the city means there's nothing to do or you're far removed from everything, and you couldn't be further from the truth out here in Houston because of the way it's designed. So when you're in North Houston, whether you're in Northeast Houston or Central off of 45, or you're off of Tomball off of 249, we have all these major arteries and highways that are running north and south, east and west, and those are going to help interconnect you. And then we have these tollways that help interconnect all of those highways as well. And so you can really get to and from downtown Houston. One of the major things is the airport. I mean, out here in Conroe, I'm probably about maybe 40 minutes away from downtown Houston, depending on what side I want to get to. However, I can get to Bush International Airport in about 30 minutes from my house. Of course, if I leave at the right time and there's no traffic and all of that. So a lot of that is because of the accessibility of highways and just how we can get from one side to the other. I mentioned 99 Tollway. Getting to Katy now is a lot easier than it used to be. Back in the day before that, it was tough to get from one side to the other, I'm not gonna lie. But everything seems to be interconnected. And because this is where new construction and a lot of living is starting to push, the infrastructure of roads and accessibility and all that is just becoming better and better. And even with all of that said, you only really need to go to downtown Houston if you're looking to get into the court systems, maybe the med center, because it is one of the largest med centers we have out there, as well as our sporting events, the Rockets, Astros, things of that nature, of course, are going to be in downtown Houston. But if you're out here in North Houston, the Woodlands really serves as that hub, giving you everything you need in the way of amenities from, shopping, live music, everything. So you really don't need to get down there, but you can, and that accessibility is there if you need to get from one end to the next. And so don't think that just by living in North Houston on the outskirts that you're far removed from everything. It's quite the opposite. You can get to and fro very easily, and you also have stuff inside of this bubble just readily accessible for you as well.